Hello, I'm Bailey Leasure, and this will not be a podcast, but this is going to be another one of my sports blog episodes. It's been a while since I've done one, but with the I'm not going to do a podcast because I have a podcast coming up Thursday, recapping my NFL predictions from last week, and also going to be recapping the Major League Baseball wildcard games, which will, as I'm recording this, the first one, which is the American League wildcard game between the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees, will be kicking off. If you're on the West Coast, I think that game's coming on a little after 5, so it's going to be a good game. And then Wednesday will be the big National League wildcard game between the Colorado Rockies against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we're going to get really two great games, wild card action. And I'm going to be using this sports blog episode to kind of recap the Major League Baseball regular season, my MVP predictions, my thoughts. I'm not going to do postseason overall thoughts, but I'm going to just make just some general thoughts of this season. So overall, this was a pretty good season. I mean, we saw a lot of great things in Major League Baseball. I mean, last year was really great considering how great of a postseason we had, and we had one of the best World Series in a long time. And really, I think baseball's up on the rise again. I mean, you're seeing what's going on in the other sports league with the NBA. We've seen the same 3 teams in the NBA championship the last 3 years. It's looking like we're going to see the same thing again. Hopefully the NHL, you're going to see different, Western Conference, you're seeing a different Stanley Cup team, but the Penguins have won the last 2. So hopefully we see some new faces. This is and the NFL, a bad rate, you've had some dipping ratings, injuries have gone up, the product, last couple weeks of football have been pretty decent, but, we've seen it's kind of gone, it's become political because of the whole anthem protest and the debate over that, which I'm not going to get into. But, Major League Baseball has been really great, and I know a lot of people will still not kind of write it off just because of how slow-paced baseball is. But, it's been great. I mean, we had Game 7 of the World Series last year was one for the ages, and I can't remember a baseball game that put you on your seats. But it was a great one. So, overall, I think that it's going to be another great postseason, and we got a lot of great teams. And the one thing I think that baseball has is you're seeing some new teams in the postseason this year that we haven't seen in a while. The Arizona Diamondbacks, like I said, and the Colorado Rockies. I think the Rockies haven't been in the postseason in 7 years. The Diamondbacks haven't made the postseason since 2011. The Minnesota Twins are back after several years being out. We have the Astros and the Indians. The Indians were in the World Series last year, but the Indians, they're looking like they're a favorite. Houston's ever won a World Series. You have your typical teams that have been in the postseason last couple of years. You have your Dodgers, you have the Nationals. The Yankees are no strangers to postseason. Chicago won the World Series, so overall, we think that's going to be a great one. So, and there's several playoff series that have already been determined. Houston and Boston will be facing off. Washington, the Nationals will be playing the Cubs, and the DS. The things what we're determining will be the wild card games. And I think we're going to have really 2 good wild card games. And as far as my predictions for tonight, I think it's going to be a good game. The biggest thing about the wild card game is that I'm not big on it because of the format of it just being one and done. You just don't see that in baseball that often, like the NFL. I personally think the wild card game should get expanded to best out of 3. I think, and the other thing is that the home team has not done well since the wild card game started in 2012. In the American League, the visitor team is 3-2 in wild card games, while the National League wild card is 4-1. The last time a wild card team at home won, I think, was the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think it was back in 2013. It could have been 2012. That's just what my thoughts on it. But just overall, I think if just the visitor team has really had the advantage. So, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if I think both teams are pretty evenly matched, both in the American League and the wild card. I think the Yankees probably have a little bit better hitting, and the Diamondbacks probably have a lot better. I think they have a little bit more experience pitching than the Rockies. But these are both teams that have not been in the postseason that long. So, but overall, it was a great season this year. Seeing some new teams in the postseason is great. you saw the home run. There were the most home runs ever hit in a season since 2000. I think overall, it's weird because also the strikeouts has gone up. Had a great home run derby that was great. A lot of people thought the All-Star game was going to be boring because they took away home field advantage in the World Series. That's gone. A lot of people thought that made the All-Star game pointless, but overall, I think it's the All-Star game went to extra innings. American League won it again, but hopefully it becomes, it continues to be good. I think covering it in Arizona this season, it's been a lot more exciting because the Diamondbacks have been a better team. That MVP race in both leagues is going to be very interesting. I think overall the MVPs, I think Aaron Judge will win the MVP in American League. After the home run derby, he really started to dip off, but he's picked it up again in September, got over 50 home runs. I think it's going to be his MVP. The National League, I think it's going to be Stanton probably. I think the 59 home runs, even though he's not on a playoff team, I think the 59 home runs is going to be enough. But, there's going to be a question mark with him going into the offseason, with Derek Jeter being the new owner, and it looks like they might be rebuilding. And Stan's made some comments saying he does not want to rebuild. Want to be part of that rebuild, but that big contract's going to be very hard to trade. So I think overall, we'll have to see. But moving on to my last thing in this sports blog episode, who's going to be winning the wild card games? I think it's going to be a good matchup between both teams tonight. I'm probably going to go, I think the Yankees just have a little bit more hitting power. The Twins, it was just reported today that Miguel Sano is not going to be able to play this game, so that's a huge loss for the Twins. And I think the Yankees just have a little bit more hitting. I like Aaron Judge and that Yankees team, even though I think I like Irvin Santana more than the Yankees pitcher. I'm gonna go with the Yankees. And as far as the home team, the National League, this is going to be a good game. There's a lot of question marks, with the Diamondbacks right now. I think Paul Goldschmidt's never gotten a hit off John Gray. He's been in a bit of a rut. Zach Greinke's been kind of shaky in the last couple starts. And then there's also that question with Greinke's personal catcher, Jeff Mathis, back. Do you put him in for Greinke, or do you keep the hot-hitting Chris Iannetta? I think Greinke pitches better. I think Mathis is a better pitch framer, but Iannetta's got the better bat. So I think what is going to happen in that game is that Zach Greinke, Jeff Mathis is gonna be the catcher, and then I think what's going to happen is if Greinke gets pulled from, let's say Greinke goes 5 or 6 innings, as soon as Greinke comes out, you're going to see Iannetta be put in the lineup as a catcher. So that's what I think is going to happen. But I think the keys, Greinke's got to pitch better. His last 2 starts, he's been a little bit shaky, not really where you want to go before you're going to be starting in the postseason. But this is a huge game for Zach Greinke, just as it's really going to determine, is that $200 million contract really worth it? This is the reason you're paid, is pitching these big games. But overall, the Rockies have been doing pretty well. I think hitting's going to be a big factor. I think the big star in this game is probably going to be J.D. Martinez. This guy, in my opinion, I think he should get more MVP votes, but considering he split time between the American League and the National League, it's going to probably cost him. But, J.D. Martinez, 45 home runs, had an almost 300 average, over 100 RBIs. I think he's going to be the big factor in this game. I think overall, I think the Diamondbacks, it's going to be a close game, but I think they're just going to edge the Rockies. It's going to be a close game. It could go either way, but I'm going to go with both the home teams. I know the home team does not have the greatest record in the postseason, but for this year, I'm going to go with the home teams in this. So, we'll see what happens there. It's weird because the visitors, after I looked it up, the visiting wildcard teams won both games in both 2012 and 2015. That could happen again this year. So we'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow with the wildcard game. So thanks everyone for watching. That's the end of my sports blog episode. Check the description below for my MLB predictions video I did, see how off and how right my predictions were. I definitely did not predict the Diamondbacks were going to be in the wild card game or even a postseason team this season. I'll leave a description below for my previous two sports blog episodes. Check out my podcast. I'm going to be recapping the wild card game and recapping the fourth week of the NFL season this year. So check the description below. If you like the content on my channel, please subscribe. If you like the video, click like. Comment on your reviews. What did you think about the 2017 Major League Baseball season? Who do you think are going to win the wild card games? And if you're on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at BaileyLeasure96. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all later.